All right, folks, welcome back. I want to welcome my next guest. He's an amazing producer out of Chicago. He is one of the founding members of the legendary Molemen crew. His catalog is ridiculous, classic after classic, and certainly one of my favorite producers of all time. I wanted to welcome Panik. Hey, thank you, brother, for doing this session. How are you?
Good, good, man. Good. How you doing?
Getting ready to close the week out, so I'm just really excited to do this, man. I know we've been trying to lock this in for a minute.
Sure.
Before we go into your storied career, I wanted to take it back and just learn about you before you became Panik. Can you tell me where you were born and where you hang your hat these days?
Well, I'm currently in Chicago and I'm born and raised in Chicago,
Yeah.
but I've been around a lot of places. And yeah, I'm back right where I started.
Hey, what's your ethnic background?
I'm Latino.
Hey, man, what was your first exposure to music? What were your parents playing when you were a kid?
Well, they were playing the old Mexican music and Cuban because my mom's born in Merida, Yucatan, which is kind of close to Cancun, which is the Gulf of Mexico, which is close to Cuba. My grandfather had some kind of Cuban heritage, her dad. So she and my dad, they listened to a lot of like Celia Cruz,
Yeah,
Afro-Cuban, type of music, but they also listened to a lot of the, Mexican music and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah.
And stuff that they call like trio. So it's like, Mexican music and some salsa and Afro-Cuban music.
And do you still listen to that music today, or are you fixed on certain genres of music?
Well, my musical taste and the stuff I listen to has grown so much throughout the
Yeah,
years that I listen to so much that I don't even know where to start, to be honest. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
open to yeah, I'm open to like pretty much everything, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell in terms of like, I mean, just listening to you produce and your spectrum of music, you got to be
Yeah.
touching everything these days.
Yeah.
But eventually, at some point, you get introduced to rap music. And do you recall that first instance of where you heard a rap song and you were like, "Oh, what is this?" and then looked into it?
Actually, in the 80s, like around 82, I started listening to music as a teenager like that,
Yeah,
on my own, because before that I was listening to music through my sister, my older sister, my older brother, and my parents. My older brother was like in a street dude, like in the south side of Chicago. So he listens to a lot of old soul music and Marvin Gaye, Parliament
nice.
Funk. So as a kid, I would just not trying to listen to it, but I would just naturally listen to it because he would listen to it. I would hang out with him a lot as a little brother. And my sister listened to Mexican music, what they call romantico. But
Hmm.
then as I got into a teenager and I was living in Chicago, I started listening to the 80s music. 80s music was like Michael Jackson,
Yeah, Madonna.
Huey
Yeah,
Lewis and the News, Madonna, all that stuff.
that's good.
And that's what I was listening to. But all of a sudden, Beat Street came out and Run DMC. And
Oh
there was
yeah,
this song particularly that caught my ear. It was called Jamon by Nucleus.
yeah,
They would play,
absolutely.
yeah, they would play it a lot here on the R&B stations, on the urban stations. And like that song caught me. And then I started watching MTV and stuff
Yeah.
like that. A lot of the music channels that they were around that time. And I started just getting more into rap. And then Run DMC after that just got me, and Curtis Blow. And after that it was forget it. Forget it.
And so, what did that do to you? That made you a fan at first, and did that get you into rapping, DJing, or producing? What was the first entry point into hip hop?
Well, before hip hop too, Chicago is the house music city. So
Good point.
first as DJing, I got really influenced by house music. So I started messing around with turntables and some house music buddies, and I was buying records like disco records, house music records, just different stuff like that, pop music from Europe and stuff like that. And then eventually, rap music was being mixed with some of those house records. So I was getting into it like that. But I started DJing. That's when I started messing around and buying
Got
records.
it.
And then just naturally, as time went by, the years, the months, the weeks, I started transitioning more into hip hop
Okay.
and the culture. Mhm.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That there was a big house scene in Chicago, and did you dress like a houser?
Here's the funny thing. The good thing you brought that up because on the north side of Chicago, everybody was into house music.
Yeah,
So I would dress with all like Adidas and Puma. at that
Oh,
moment.
uh-huh.
So I will be the only dude that would dress hip hop. So they would call me B-boy. They would call me B-boy at school because I didn't. Nobody else dressed like me at that moment, and
Yeah,
the school that I went to. I'm sure there were other hip hop people on the north side or whatever, but like
yeah.
I was unique at that moment.
Oh, that's
Because nobody
interesting.
dressed like hip hop. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. But you did start DJing house music first, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't at the clubs or nothing like that. I was
Yeah,
more
yeah, right.
experimenting
You're young.
at people's houses
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I would never became a house DJ. Never.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I was definitely, but I love house music. It was a
Yeah.
big influence in Chicago. Like,
Big
you know,
movement.
that that was taken over. So that's why I was so unique because I was into hip hop. Everybody
Yeah,
else
yeah.
was into house. You know.
No, that's always interesting because that's a missing piece of your story that I didn't know, right? And then
Yeah.
even so, just being a DJ, man, I've only known you as a producer. I knew you DJ back in the day, but obviously you're famous for being an amazing producer. So it's interesting always to hear the backstory and how you started. So that was great. And so eventually you get into what you're famous for, producing beats. So when did that
Yeah.
come? How long were you a DJ, and then how long did it take for you to make that transition?
Well, eventually I went to high school to Carl Schurz High School on the north side, and
Yeah.
I met two buddies there. This guy named Juan Martinez and Albert Espinoza. Juan Martinez was like part of the Molemen, like one of the founding members. Rest in peace. And he was my buddy at a wood shop in class, and we started trying to get together on some hip hop stuff. And my other friend Albert, I had gym class with him, and that's how we started. His name's Mix Massacre. He produced early Moment stuff.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and eventually, I met this guy too named Aztec. He's part of the hip hop community here, and I used to talk to him and I met him at a flea market with Juan, who's part of the original Moment, and like he told us about some meetings on the South Side where there was a lot of hip hop, DJs, rappers, breakers, whatever. So eventually, I met Vakil at that hip hop meeting, and then we became the Moment. Mm-hmm.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
So that was
But
about what? That was that early '90s or even late '80s?
no, no, it was like around 94-ish, 90, no, like around 92, 93. Yeah,
Okay,
the Moment were created in 91. So yeah,
okay.
around 91, 92. Uh-huh.
Was it three producers, one MC, or who did what?
Yeah, there was another guy named Rick Flores, who he was one of the founding members. He was part of Moment for a short time, but he contributed to a lot of records at the beginning. Him also too. I met him through a house DJ friend that I first started mixing house. He introduced me to Rick, and he's the only one that had the MPC at that moment.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, like we would all use the MPC from Rick and stuff like that. But like what really got me interested at the beginning, as far as like DJing and production, hip hop wise, was break beats. I used to
Yeah,
love finding samples and break beats. So
yeah,
me and Juan used to go digging for records and stuff like that. But we also started like what we really started releasing stuff was with mixtapes. And DJ Mix Massacre was the guy in the group, one of the founding members. So we would do mixtapes first. So there was the
that's
Moment
crazy.
mixtapes. We did like 4 or 5 volumes of mixtapes.
So that's crazy. Let me peel back on a couple things you mentioned. One, man, you guys were still high school kids, man, and you were messing with the MPC already. And
Yeah.
that's crazy. Who was it him teaching you guys, or where were you guys learning? At the time, there was no YouTube to teach yourself that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Rick Flores was the technical guy. He had a beat machine, a Roland R8, and he had the MPC. We would use them. I would start trying to learn it. But the
Yeah,
thing about Rick Flores didn't know about break beats.
yeah.
So me
Oh,
and Juan knew the break beats, but he was the technical guy with the beat machine. So we would kind of feed off each other and learn from each other.
yeah. That's crazy, man. At a young age already, man, and just go on and do
Yeah.
some crazy things. And so you guys did mixtapes. Were you guys dubbing the mixtapes at home and selling them at school?
We would make like I said, Mix Massacre was the DJ, and
Yep.
he would make the mixtape. he will make the mixtape, and we would actually mass produce them. Like we'll make 1,000 copies and just
Oh,
sell them
okay,
at the. Yeah, we were like we started right away independently like that. We
man.
would we would go to all the record stores because there was so many record stores in Chicago at that moment.
Yeah,
So we would go to about 20, 30 record stores and just keep selling them, and we got around.
dude, that is crazy, man. And so, do you own any of those mixtapes still? To
Yeah.
this, that's great. Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Piece of history. And so, did you guys start as the Molemen? Where did the name come from, and who came up with it?
Well, Vakil came up with the name Molemen because he's a big comic book head. So the Molemen were like the Fantastic Four
That's
arch enemies and stuff like that. But since they were underground and we are talking underground hip hop, so he correlated that together. And he came up with my name too.
man. All right. So, can you tell me how that story went down?
Well, at that moment, like with KRS and BDP and X Clan and Poor Righteous Teachers and all that, it was a lot of conscious hip hop. So he called me his Panic, and
Yeah.
that's how he got Panic.
Yeah. And I've seen your name like that over the years. And so
Yeah,
since then you've dropped the hiss, right? You just go by
yeah.
Panic now, obviously. But
At some point, I changed it.
okay, did you guys start rocking shows at school, or was it mostly house parties first before hitting bigger stages?
Yeah, actually, we weren't even doing shows. Like we would do shows. Like Vakil started doing shows. He was doing shows. And Mixed Massacre would DJ live at certain places and stuff like that. We would work with local rappers, put them on the mixtapes that we were doing. So that's how we were getting around too. We would add some of the local rappers on the mixtapes, and eventually our name got around as producers. So we started producing for certain tracks for people. We started doing compilations and stuff like that, and that's when we started putting out vinyl eventually.
And what do you think was the reason that you guys blew up? And so, I mean, I mentioned in the beginning, like, I mean, your catalog got folks like Jedi Mind Tricks, MC Juice, Rhyme Fest. And how was it? I guess the internet started booming, but how did you guys get your name out at that time?
Well, first and foremost, we were growing our name locally. So
Yeah.
we work with a lot of the local rappers that were working hard and they were really dope, like Ants 13 and
Yep.
EC Illa and people like that, Rubber Room.
Right.
And with Vakil, he was moment, so he was putting out stuff. And eventually, I met Rhymefest through another local rapper, and Rhymefest and Memo were best friends at that moment. Memo
Ah.
from the Molemen, so that's
Yeah.
how he joined Molemen. And then Juice was one of the dopest rappers in the city. Rhymefest and Juice were the best battle rappers in the city.
Oh
So
man.
eventually, so me personally, I was like, I need to work with these guys. They're the best battle rappers in the city. I wanted
Yeah.
them to rap on my beats. So like, eventually I met them and started working with them like that. And yeah.
And what was your introduction to Deuce like? Like, how did you meet him? I mean, you guys produced some crazy tracks. Holy cow!
Yeah, we were freaking at this place called Blue Groove Lounge by this guy named DJ Jesse De La Pena, and he would go to that place, and I would meet him there, talk to him there. He had released his own tape, and I know he was dope because he was coming, he was getting his music played on the local college stations, and then he
Yeah.
was he would be in a lot of battles, and him and Brian Fest would battle, and everybody in the city knew they were like the best battle rappers.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
crazy.
eventually, I knew people that knew him, and I just went up to him and, hey, I want to work with you and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And we just got to work. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And what was the age gap? Are you guys like far in age, or like about grew up same time in high school, relatively close?
Well, like, I think I always seem to be the oldest guy everywhere. So I'm probably
Yeah. Same here.
yeah. So he might be a couple years younger than me and stuff like that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it was crazy. Just I mean, you were touching everything that was dope. And man, like I said, man, just your collection, man, hit after hit, it's amazing. And I remember buying the Below the Ground and Buried Alive EPs back in the 90s. I was in California. I bought them at a record store in San Jose, California. And so,
Yeah.
hey, can you tell me how you guys went about putting those albums? Those are some classic EPs. Like, what was the thought process when you put Below the Ground? and Buried Alive, and they were white labels right at first, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually they had their little they were like regular releases, but I think the first record we put out was Keep the Fame with Percy P and
Oh man, that's another one. Shoot,
I think it was the first one. I'm starting to lose memory. No, I think Below Buried Alive was the first one actually.
right?
But yeah, we put that out. We sent it out to the pressing plan and we put that out. But good thing you mentioned that because I want to talk about the another important member in the crew, PNS, because the thing
Yeah.
about the thing about PNS is he used to put out dope mixtapes from Chicago. Like he's very original as far as a lot of things, but he put out these mixtapes called Chicago Rock that nobody ever kind of did to his level. He would put out like the most obscure Chicago stuff that people would love to find now. But the
Man,
thing about him, he worked at Gramophone Records, which was the central part for like Chicago hip hop product. And every local guy and every guy from out of town that used to come by, like let's say Atmosphere or Sage Francis or whoever came to the city, they had to go to gramophones to sell their product independently.
yeah.
And we would sell a bunch of fat beat stuff and a lot of stuff from like, Cali, like Peanut Butter Wolf kind of stuff. So him and Peanut Butter Wolf, talked a lot because Peanut Butter Wolf used to work at a distributor on the West Coast.
Oh, that's
So through
crazy.
so through him, the West Coast were the first people to open up to our music from Chicago as far as distributing it and getting it out there more. So through people like Peanut Butter Wolf, our music got up to the West Coast and our mixtapes got up to the West Coast.
Ah, I see. Oh man, so that's how
People,
that came.
people on the East Coast, weren't letting us in so easily. Fat
Oh,
Beats wasn't trying to hear us too much because the East Coast had this thing going on at that moment, but the West Coast was more like open to things. So at some point, the West Coast popularity and what we were doing here was so strong that Fat Beats eventually opened up to us and they started distributing our music. Mhm.
yeah, that's wild, man. And you mentioned Gramophone Records. That's where I picked up stuff like Juice's first EP, The Man. That was crazy. I picked that up over there. But yeah, man, that was like the spot I was picking stuff up. And I think you mentioned to me like years ago that you had worked at Gramophone Records for a while too. Yeah.
Yeah, various members of the Molemen worked there, but PNS was the hip hop buyer there, and he opened up the doors, and he was a very important person, not only for Molemen, but for all the local guys and for independent guys out of they were coming in to try to sell their product from out of town.
Yeah, and so at that point, man, you guys established a name for yourselves. And did you stop DJing at that point and just focus on production?
Honestly, I dabbled with DJ, but I was never really a DJ.
Oh,
I was
okay.
I love messing around with turntables and stuff like that. But I was more into like the production at the end, the break beat guy,
Yeah.
finding samples, and eventually finding samples. I just got into that production aspect because that was the thing that really caught my ear.
Yeah, and so how does that work, man? Are a lot of the Molemen beats are they produced by multiple producers? Was that you, Memo, PNS on one beat, or was it just one beat was a Panic beat, one was a Memo, and then you just combined the albums? I'm sorry, combined the songs into one project.
Yeah, see, yeah. Ever since the moment we're around, we kind of did our own beats by ourselves. Memo has his own style, his own
Yeah,
mind, and PNS has his own style, his own mind. And I did what we would do is like, let's say Memo say, "Hey, I want to work with this guy," and then
yeah,
Memo just take care of the whole song.
yep,
And he okay, this is my song. I'm contributing to this project, and PNS would do him, and I would do me, and that's it. We would never really work on beats together. We tried,
yeah.
but
It's tough, right?
it never really happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what was was there a feedback process at all? So like if you finished a beat, did you let the other guys hear it and say, "Hey, is this a good one? Is this whack?" Or what was the review process on what made the final cut like?
Well, it was a factor between the people in Moment,
Yeah.
me, like let's say I will make a beat. I kind of knew if I liked the beat, I got a feedback from rappers and the crew and also
Yeah.
crew in the moment. Like they would tell me, hey man, this beat's good. So I would try to like, use it. And
Yeah,
same thing worked for everybody, you know. Like I said, PNS, he would have his idea and he would just say, "Hey, I'm gonna grab a certain rapper that I hear in this beat and just use it," you know. And
yeah,
Memo was the same. Yeah. We just pretty much trusted each other's taste. Like
yeah.
if PNS had his own style, he would do his thing and like, here's my song, here's my beat, and that's how Memo and me would do it. Yeah.
And did you guys outsource your artwork? Who came up with the Molemen logo?
These Rock and Jane, there were these guys called J&J Creation, where they used to do a graffiti magazine called Clip Art. They were
Okay.
like a graffiti writers from Chicago, and they did the logo.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I don't think it's changed over the years. It's still been that same one, right? Which is
Yeah,
dope.
pretty much, uh-huh.
And did you do a lot of work with? I know you worked with a lot of East Coast MCs, but was there anybody in particular on the West Coast that you worked with?
Well, yeah, because of PNS and Peanut Butter Whoops communication, that's how I got to work with Roscoe.
That's right. I forgot about that. I can't remember if you did stuff with Planet Asia too as well, but Pascal for sure.
Yeah, so when I started working with Roscoe, I worked on his EP, The Birth. So
Ah,
after that, we worked a lot. So him and Planet Asia are so tight. So it was Roscoe connecting everything. So everything that I ever did was pretty much because PNS meeting with Peanut Butter Wolf, and then
yeah.
Roscoe meeting with me, and then that's how they became like that. And then
And
Planet Asia and Roscoe, you know.
and so I think Rasco isn't doing music anymore at the moment, right? Not that I know of.
No, I haven't done anything with him for a while. Ever
Yeah.
since back in the days now.
Yeah. What about the other two from the crew? Or is PNS or Memo doing beats still, or is it just you now at the moment? Yeah.
Yeah, from what I know, everybody's still working on music, but we haven't released anything in a while. As a
Yeah,
group.
yeah. I mean, I know that you are plentiful in terms of like mixtapes and stuff, and you never stop. Man, I love that your catalog's hanging on Spotify and everybody can access all of that stuff. Yeah, and you're still grinding, man. I love it. You're still producing, but are you primarily just listening to hip hop now, or what's on your playlist these days? What are you listening to?
Well, you know what? Ever since I was born, I never just listened to hip hop. Like not on purpose. Other music always came into my ears, through my parents, through my older brother, through my older sister, and eventually the 80s. And then with sampling, I just started listening to music from Japan, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Latin America, Europe, just by digging for samples, And now I love listening to Brazilian music. I
yeah.
love listening to music from Europe, like Italian music, or rock, jazz, soul, whatever. I listen to that all the time. But listen to everything.
Yeah, how is your style in terms of looking for samples? Has it changed? I know it's super easy to find stuff online now, obscure stuff too, and people are posting it. But are you still out there digging for records and just doing it the old way, or have you adapted and you made life easier by just looking online?
Well, here's the thing, like just to add to that, I went through a phase like between 2011 to like 2018 where I started learning how to play instruments too. So
Right.
I add that style to my music. But as far as I adapted to what's going on. For a
Yeah.
while I would be like Fruity Loops sucks, just like an old guy.
Yeah.
But eventually I was like, wow, Fruity Loops is dope. So
Yeah.
so, sampling the MP3 is bad or this. Like, really, if you think about it, hip hop never had any rules. The
Yeah.
reason of the reason hip hop was dope is, it was a DJ grabbing two records. Like back in the days, that was unheard of, making music with two records. It was making music with instruments.
Yeah.
So when it comes to music, if the music sounds good, and it doesn't matter where it's coming from.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that.
Yeah. That's a great point,
Because
man.
your regular guy or girl listening to music, they're not gonna care what you used, if you used an original record or an MP3 or
Yeah.
you played guitar or if you sampled everything.
Yeah.
They're like, hey man, I
If it
like this
sounds
rhyme,
good.
I like this hook, I like this beat. It sounds good, it sounds good.
Yeah, and it's crazy, man, too. Your global reach, in terms of music is bananas, man. I know they listen to you all over the world, and so is it crazy to think, you started back in the day in the '90s with the homies back in the Chicago public school scene, just making beats locally, and is it crazy to think when you look back, just what you've done for hip hop in general?
Yeah, it's amazing because being on social media, I get hit up people from South America or Europe or even Japan and whatever different places, Australia, whatever, and they'll
Yeah,
be like, "Man, I've been listening to you since I was high school
yeah,
and
right.
this and your instrumentals or the song you did with Planet Asia and Roscoe or whatever," and they like talk to me like it's this big thing, and then I realize like it hits me. But
Yeah,
I don't really think about it until somebody hits me with what that music has done for them or how they felt about my music, and it's an incredible feeling, and I'm blessed about for that.
yeah, absolutely, and that's me included too as well. Listening to it when I started rhyming too. And I hope you enjoy that, man, because your work certainly deserves it. You put in all the blood, sweat, and tears, and just put that time in. So it's amazing, man. And did you get into
Mhm.
anything else in terms of like the elements of hip hop? Did you give breakdancing a try, or did you try to rap at all at one
I try
point?
to rap. I try to rap once. I try to rap, but yeah, hopefully all those tapes are burnt and destroyed.
Hey, did you at that point change your name when you became a rapper, or did you just keep the Panic name and all?
Nah, I was Panic, I think. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that you just confirmed that there are some rap songs with you on it that exist somewhere,
Yeah, somewhere. But they're
somewhere.
hopefully they're all just
Not online, though, huh?
no, no, no.
Well, hey, man, with that, thank you, man. It was great just to learn about the history and learn about the person you are and how you started. And so I'm curious, man,
Sure.
just as busy as you are with work, family, and music, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, to be honest, man, right now I'm really just into like taking care of myself mentally, physically,
Yeah,
and I'm really into like how to improve myself in any way possible. That's my hobby right now.
yeah,
Walking and nutrition and I don't know, whatever. I love cooking. I love cooking. Yeah, that's one thing for sure.
yeah. One
And
thing I know about you is that you really enjoy traveling and seeing the world. I think within the last couple of years, man, you've been all over the place. Are there any places that are your target in the future? What are your top three places that you want to visit?
Well, I actually just booked a trip to Colombia. I've been
Oh,
meaning,
sick.
it's like my second time there, but a different part of it. I always wanted to go to Europe and Japan. Those are what I'm eyeing after that.
Yeah. Hey, how's Colombia, man? What was the experience like?
I was there for a week. It's pretty cool, man. It's the food, the vibe's cool. And it's just always great to me breaking out of the norm.
Yeah.
Because in Chicago it's a certain vibe, in the United States it's a certain vibe. So when you go to a different part of the world, it opens your mind and you're experiencing things, and it kind of inspires you in so many ways. And then you end up realizing that everybody's the same.
It's
Yeah.
probably quite easy getting around for you since you speak Spanish too.
Yeah, my I always spoke decent Spanish, but probably the last 5, 10 years, my Spanish has improved a lot. So
Uh, okay, so when you get there, they can tell that you're from out of town, right? That's like my Tagalog
oh
too. Is
yeah, they could always tell because doesn't matter what country, every country has their accent, and every
right?
state and a lot of those regions and their countries have different accents too. So
Yeah.
when I go there, I speak wherever I go. If I go to Mexico or whatever, like they know that I'm from Mexico. They know I speak good Spanish, but they know I'm not. They know I'm from the United States.
Oh, absolutely, a mile away. Hey, you clued us in that you're a foodie and you like to cook, and I enjoy all the amazing pictures of food that you post. And I'm always asking you, like, man, did you make that or buy that? So where did that love for cooking come from?
You know what? Who doesn't like food?
Right, right.
But the other thing, you know what? I realized like cooking for me it's like therapeutic.
Yeah,
When I cook, I turn on music and I just start like mixing the things. But the thing about cooking, now I understand another reason I like it. It's a lot like making beats because you're grabbing different ingredients and you're making a certain blend. So that's
Yeah.
another part that I enjoy about it, besides the great taste of food. But I also love smelling things. And with cooking, using herbs and spices,
Yeah.
they kind of like it makes you feel good because when I like smell certain herbs and spices, and then just the smell of the food cooking. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of things about cooking that I like, you know.
Yeah, I certainly like eating it. I don't know if I have the patience for making it, but man, the
A lot
final
of people
product
don't.
is dope, man. And so I know primarily, or at least it seems like, a lot of stuff that you prepare is South American. And so, do you have a favorite kind of food that you like to cook?
Well, with time, I never really cooked a lot of seafood, but the last
Yeah.
probably 5 years, I've been cooking more fish and octopus and shrimp and
Oh,
stuff like that. But I make a lot of pastas. I got really good at pastas the
yeah.
last few years, and so I make a lot of Italian and Latin food.
Does some of that draw from what your mom used to make you?
Yeah, some of it has to do with that. Some of it has to do with the people that I know that are from different parts of Latin America.
Yeah, nothing beats mom's cooking, man. What does your mom make that you just love to this day?
Oh my God, I can't even start with her. Like as a kid, she used to make probably like a 50-dish rotation.
Man,
Yeah. So
dude.
all traditional Mexican food. So.
Hey, well, let's talk about what Chicago's known for, man. You guys are known for your pizza. Are you a faithful fan though of Chicago style pizza?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people that are not from Chicago misunderstand or don't know all the information about Chicago pizza.
Okay.
When people come to Chicago, they think there's this big, thick one, the
Right.
deep dish one, which is part of Chicago, but we also have a very thin one that it circulates around all parts of the city.
Oh,
So,
interesting. That I didn't know.
yeah. So yeah, I love all kinds of pizza to be honest. I like the Neapolitan from Italy. I like the
Okay.
Roman one from Italy. I like the New York one.
Yeah.
Whatever pizza it is, I love pizza.
Do you mess with the pineapple on your pizzas?
You know what? I'll eat it, but it's definitely on the bottom of my favorites. I'm not a big pineapple.
Yeah.
I think pineapple on pizza is not good, honestly.
Yeah.
The only reason I eat pineapple on pizza is because I'm with somebody that likes pineapple on their pizza, but I don't pick pineapple on a pizza. No.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I always ask that question to folks from New York. For somebody visiting Chicago, what is the best place to get Chicago style pizza? What do you recommend?
Well, there's a few places, but I'll name you two where you could get the thin one, and I'll name you a couple of thick ones. For the thin one, there's Mike's Tavern on the north side,
Yeah.
and on the south side, you got Vito's and Nick's. You
Okay.
know, those are the thin ones, and from the thick ones, you got Pequod's on the north side and Luminati's.
Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I can't remember. I think, I visited Chicago, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago now, but I think there were these spots called Uno and Dos, maybe.
that's
Is
the
my,
one that like the people from. That's the one the people that that's the touristy one.
yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
next time I'm in Chicago, I got to get these names again. But that's dope, man. That's
No,
good to
yeah.
know.
When you come to Chicago, I got you on a good pizza.
Nice, man. Likewise, now we're waiting for you to get out to Hawaii, man, so we can get you
Oh
down with some
man,
Hawaiian cuisine.
that's another one. That's another place that I definitely need to go there. Hopefully soon I'll be tapping in over there
Yeah,
on Hawaii.
100%, man. I look forward to it. Well, good, man. Hey, thank you so much. It was great to go into your history, to talk about stuff outside of music and family. And so I usually
Yes,
like to close the interview out with just some fun questions. So I'm gonna hit you
sure.
up before we end. So my first one is, who is someone people say you look like? Who is someone famous that people say Panik look like sometimes?
Wow. Nobody's ever said you look like somebody. I
Original.
swear. The only person that people say I look like is my dad and my older brother. That's about it.
Okay, hey. Hey, what is one embarrassing trend that you followed?
In the past, I might have like when I was in high school, I might have put like tight pants on, which they it, but it was in the 80s though, you know, people were doing all sorts of weird things.
Yeah,
And
it's in style now.
I was trying to find myself at that moment as far as like what I should wear, you know,
Yeah.
not that, but yeah, that ended quick. There was a lot of things that I tried. There was a lot of different haircuts and things that I tried back then that, you know, I'd rather not talk about.
All right. Hey, do you have a hidden talent? What is something that you do?
Cooking, I guess.
Yeah.
Cooking, and I'm really interested in the technology, a lot of things with technology and stuff like that. You know,
Nice.
and I love nature, things and well, I could smoke meats. You know, when I lived in Texas, I learned
Skills.
how to I learned how to make a good turkey, smoked turkey and smoked brisket. Like I
Yeah.
would be outside and just like do that, and I'm good at gardening too, so
Oh man, hey, that is hard. I'm not very good at it. My dad's got a green thumb, so man, I love and care for yeah, the garden and the yard, man. That's it takes a special person to do that.
yeah. Being in Texas, you have to really learn how to do some yard work, man. It will be imagining some yard work in the hot Texas sun. It's pretty painful.
How long were you in Texas for, and what part?
From 2011 to like 2018,
Oh man, for a
Dallas,
minute.
Texas. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dallas, Texas. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, I enjoy
I would
Texas, man.
I would go walking around with my dog at this place called White Rock. And it's a nice little area. And one time I was walking with my dog and I would see this house. It was kind of original, it was colorful. And I'm like, it looks like a house from like Holland or something like that, Denmark. It had like some sayings there. And one time I walked there and guess who was outside picking up their kale?
Huh.
Erica Badu.
Oh, crazy. Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, so I was like tripping. I'm like, wow, she's out here doing her yard and stuff like that. That's
Hey,
funny.
what when you're lazy and you don't feel like cooking, what is your go-to takeout order?
It's definitely pizza or a hot dog or a burger.
All right, man. If Panic was an animal, what kind of animal would he be?
Wow, that's a good question. Uh, I'm gonna, you know, I can't swim, so it's definitely not an ocean animal.
Yeah,
That's one of my goals, though, to learn how to swim. But if I had
okay.
to be an animal, it would have to be like maybe a bear.
I love it. Ferocious, man. All right. Hey, if you could have dinner with anybody, past or present, dead or alive, who would that be?
Maybe Einstein.
Yeah, brilliant. Final question, man. What is Panic's biggest pet peeve?
When people ask me the same thing more than once
Ah,
in a timeline of like 10 minutes, like that really annoys me.
all right. Hey, thanks again. Super fun interview. I appreciate your time, especially on the weekend. It's been an honor to know you, and I've been a big fan of your catalog. Very fortunate that we got to do some music together as well. I keep cheering you on from here, and man, just thank you for your contributions to hip hop. I can't wait to get this interview out. Are there any special projects that you want to tell folks about?
Yeah, look out for the Memphis and Panic projects, right?
There you go. And I'm actually recording a song today over one of your beats, so I can't wait.
Yeah. And really, man, you know, I've been making music since I was like 12 years old, and I'm not 12 years old no more.
Yeah, yeah.
So I took like about a year and a half of not even touching a beat machine. But I think in the early 2025, I'm gonna get back to working on music and, you know, be looking out for some stuff for that.
Jesus, your catalog extends for days, man, and I can't wait to hear a Panic in full swing because you're still making music and everything is still unbelievable and it's amazing. We're lucky to have you around doing this stuff. Hey,
Thank
where do
you.
you want people going to check your music out? Do you have a preferred platform?
You could just search on the regular places like Google Moment Panic or go to YouTube or go to Spotify. You know, you'll
Yeah,
you'll you'll find all the stuff there.
and get your Molemen gear too as well. But with that, my brother, is are there any final words that you want to say before we close this podcast out?
No, man. I just thanks for reaching out, and I appreciate everybody that takes their time and to listen to Molemen, to the Molemen catalog, the Molemen name, to my music, and and just to listen to good music. Yeah,
Moment all day, man. Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, and I'll stay in touch.
for sure, man. Take care. Peace.